Yay. You know, you rocking with Lex, Astrostetics. Let's get it. So, we did the sun and the moon. Now, y'all, let's go into Mercury. Now, Mercury is the closest planet to the sun, right? You see how the moon is the closest planet to the earth? Mercury is the closest planet to the sun, all right? So, in Astrostetics, we look at Mercury as like the communicator, right? Because Mercury is the closest planet to the sun. So Mercury, it governs Virgo and Gemini, and we're going to get into that. So notice that Mercury deals with speaking, and when people talk about Gemini and Virgos, you know, Virgos can be very analytical, and Geminis can be chatty patties and very talkative. Alright, so let's get it. Make sure y'all subscribe. Wagwan. You know, it's Lex, y'all. We talking about Mercury, and that's the flex. Let's continue. So, yeah, Mercury, as we mentioned in our last video, is the closest planet to the sun. Now, Mercury is also the planet of talking, right? We mentioned it's the ruler of Gemini and Virgo. Mercury governs analyzing things. Mercury is the one that always wants to fact check, but understand that because Mercury is so fast, Mercury also deals with being a trickster. Mercury is kind of like Loki from Marvel, right? Where he's just very tricky, fast, but Mercury also deals with intelligence. So you see how Mercury could be in one place in the next, and Mercury governs two signs, and we're going to get into some more stuff, so stay tuned, all right? Make sure you subscribe. Yeah. You know, it's Lex from Astrostetics. Hope y'all feeling litty. If you're with me, let's get it. So as we mentioned in our last video, right? Mercury is kind of like Loki. Mercury is like the trickster planet. Mercury is also very fast and wise. And in Astrostetics, yeah, we call Mercury the talkative one, the talkative guy, because Mercury is essentially getting the downloads. Mercury also deals with technology and computers, right? So before we actually had computers, when we talk about engineering and mechanics, Mercury, all of that is governed by Mercury, right? So Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury, but essentially all of this technological stuff, it's essentially mercurial. So that's why on the Mercury retrograde, which we'll get into in our next video, now think about it. When it's a Mercury retrograde, everybody whacks out. Everybody, got Mercury retrograde. My phone is about to start wilding. Mercury retrograde is about technology. People talk about the technological things, right? Like our cars is technological, computers technological, electronics, right? All of these things are mercurial because we communicate with these things, all right? And Uranus is the higher octave of that. So this is why when it's a Mercury retrograde, we focus on the technology because that's what Mercury really is. It's astrostetics, all right? Let's get it. Now, what is a retrograde real quick? A retrograde is when a planet looks as if it's moving backwards. So real quick, no planet in the universe says, hey, let me go backwards for a second. No planet in the universe actually goes backwards. But because each of the planets are at different distances away from Earth, there are times when our orbit kind of overlaps the planet, and for a brief moment in time, it looks as if the planet is going backward, kind of like when you drive past a car on the highway. All right, it's astrostetics. Let's get it. Important to know that each of the planets are at different distances away from Earth, and they move at different speeds. So even though Mercury is the closest planet to the sun, Mercury retrogrades last about 3 weeks, around there. But you'll notice that now a Venus retrograde can last for maybe about 6 weeks, right? Maybe 40, 50 days around there. But this is because these planets are at different distances from the Earth, and they orbit at different speeds. And these two things, right, distance and time, is why the duration of retrogrades are different. And no planet actually goes backwards, all right? But let's get it. Mercury is exalted, some would say in Virgo, some would say in Gemini, right? And Mercury is the only planet that does this. And a quick fact, Mercury is the only planet that is on the periodic table of elements. So on the periodic table, they call Mercury Quicksilver, and Quicksilver is the only element that can remain in a liquid state and a solid state at the simultaneous time. And this is why in Astrostetics, we refer to Mercury as the communicator, as the dimensionalizer. Because in Astrostetics, Mercury can be in two places at the same time. It governs a twin sign, all right? Now, real quick, y'all. Mercury experiences its detriment and fall in Sagittarius and Pisces, respectively. Mercury is all about clear communication, right? Notice Mercury enjoys being closer to the sun. In Astrostetics, Mercury loves being as close to the sun, but really Mercury enjoys being ahead of the sun in the Astrostetics context. But in the astronomical fact, right? And Astrostetics is that as well. Mercury is all about speed, right? And this is why Mercury deals with information and the exchange of communication between others, all right? And that's what Gemini is. So remember, in one of our videos, we were speaking about the relationship between the moon. And when we look at the moon and Mercury, there's a strong relationship between both of these two planets. In Astrostetics, we know that the moon, it deals with our emotions and nurturing and what we like to care for. Now, Gemini, right? Mercury is also about what we talk to, like what we like to talk about, how we like to think. And in Astrostetics, Mercury deals with the intellect and how you like to rationalize thought. So when it comes to how we think about things, there's a strong relationship between our feelings and our sense of logic. And this is why, back then they said that the moon can also govern the mind, but the awareness is really Mercury, and that's Astrostetics. Make sure y'all subscribe.